Hi, I'm Roman.
And I'm Caitlin,
I'm not a big Disney fan,
and I am. And
and together
together,
we're
we're going to
gonna have
have
a
a
hundred
hundred
Disney
Disney adventures
adventures
of
of
a
a lifetime.
lifetime. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I'm married to Roman.
Hello.
We've been together for over 4 years now. We've been married for, what, 4 months now? Something like that.
Has it only been 4 months?
I know, it seems like so much longer. But yeah, we just wanted to give some background onto, what our goal is of doing this podcast and kind of what our thoughts are, um, and where the idea came from. So a couple years ago, I was gifted this amazing book called "100 Disney Adventures of a Lifetime: Magical Experience from Around the World" by Marcy Carricker Smothers. And after reading through some of the book, I realized that I'd already done a lot of these things. And then when I was talking to Roman, he was also mentioning how, wow, I'm surprised like how many of these once in a lifetime adventures we've already done and how many we actually already wanted to do.
hmm
And so that kind of was the conception of this idea of just talking about, our opinions on these different adventures that you can go on and kind of what our thoughts are on them, especially since we kind of grew up with Disney in two very different ways. When I was 5 years old, it was the first time that I ever went to a Disney park. My parents took me to Magic Kingdom around my fifth birthday back in 97. And so when the year we went, it was actually the 25th anniversary of Walt Disney World. And when I went, the castle was sheathed in like these cake decorations and it
hmm
was all pink
hmm
and like cupcakes and sprinkles and candles. And I thought that that's what the castle looked like all the time. And then, so then after that, because growing up, we didn't have a lot of money for Disney trips, but in 2003 was the next time that I went, and we had a family vacation. We did all the parks at that point, and that's kind of where my love for Disney parks started. The other thing when I was really young growing up, on late night Disney Channel, they would have reruns of The Wonderful World of Disney with Walt Disney, and he would talk about Disneyland and different rides and experiences you could do there. And there was just something so magical and endearing about this man coming into your home and talking about these amazing places that you
hmm
could go and these rides. And so yeah, that's where my love of Disney started. How about you?
So for me, my childhood with Disney was different. I So apparently one time when I was really young, my mother took us, my sister and I, to Disney in Florida. I have no memory of that, but she says that my favorite ride to go on over and over was the Small World. Apparently, we went on that ride for like 3 hours straight. We would just come off and go right back on. And then beyond that was the teacups. Now, like I said, I don't actually remember going. I do remember going to Epcot. That was my favorite. And I think we went there 2 or 3 times. Now, for Epcot, I remember a lot more about that. But even then, I wasn't really a big Disney person, and I didn't know what Disney was until I was a teenager. And then, of course, everybody was watching the Disney Channel original movies and things like that. So my interaction with Disney proper really didn't start until I was a teenager. When I was a kid, I watched Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and the History Channel. That was the big three. And so I never really cared about Disney. I was vaguely aware of it. I knew it was a thing. I knew that it was a channel, but none of the shows really hooked me, so I didn't really watch it. And then yeah, when I was a teenager, watching the Disney Channel original movies like Xenon and Xenon the sequel.
Ooh, deep cuts.
Yes. But
Yeah, that's interesting because
yeah.
I think that so much of my love of Disney really came from being a kid, and I remember watching Snow White almost
Mhm.
every single day, and to the point where my mom would always have to fast forward the part with the trees because for whatever reason that always really scared me when the trees come to
I don't
life.
even know if I've ever seen Snow White.
Oh my goodness.
See, yeah,
So
no, I haven't seen any of the Disney movies. Like, I legitimately don't know if I've seen. I know of Snow White and this one, Seven Dwarfs, but I've never watched the movie. That or what's the other one? Sleeping Beauty? Not,
Sleeping
yeah, Sleeping
Beauty, oh my
Beauty.
gosh. Yeah.
Bambi. Is that Disney?
Yeah.
I've never watched Bambi.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we have, the rest of our lives to kind of watch all
Right.
these movies
I'm looking forward
together.
to it.
And it'll be interesting to see how, how you view them as an adult.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, growing up, I mean, my mom's a Disney lover. And so I grew up watching so many Disney movies. We had them all on VHS. Like I can still smell the tapes.
Yeah.
And then also, like, when we were older or when I was older, we had, cable, and so there was a lot of, like, late night Disney reruns,
Hmm.
and so I grew up watching a lot of, like, the original Mickey Mouse Club, and, I just fell so in love with it,
Hmm.
and I didn't realize then that this love of mine when I was 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 was going to grow into, a lifetime of
Hmm.
love of Disney.
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy how it changes. So then fast forward. So then Roman and I met in February of 2020,
Hmm.
right before the pandemic.
Before the good old days.
And so how long did it take you to realize, like, how much I love Disney?
It actually took me longer than it should have.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea
My
until
tattoos didn't give it
I
away?
don't think I ever saw them.
Oh,
And remember, I tell you, I forget that you have tattoos sometimes
yeah.
until I see them. But I remember one day I was at your place and I was in your closet for some reason. I think looking for a towel or something. And there was just a box of Mickey ears.
Mm.
Just a giant box of Mickey ears. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But I'd never seen them before. So I didn't know what they were. So I was like, she really loves to collect headbands. And then it just came and went in my mind. And then, of course, your tattoos. But even then, you you hit it well, I'll say.
I wasn't even trying to hide it. I think it was because the whole world was shut down, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we were definitely preoccupied with other things that were going on in the world, and
Hmm.
so I kind of feel like the first taste of, like, having Disney together was probably when we went down to Disney for our one-year anniversary in February of 2021,
Hmm.
and, we did we go to the parks, or did we just go into Disney Springs?
I remember we went to Disney Springs. I don't remember if we went into the parks at all.
Yeah, I can't remember that, but I'm sure that that was probably, like,
Hmm.
opened your eyes to
Yeah.
kinda who I am.
Well, even that's, I would say no. I think when the first time we ever went to the parks proper, I don't remember when it was, but I remember going down to Florida, getting our hotel, and being told I'm not allowed to go to sleep
Mhm,
because I have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning
mm,
to get ready to go to Disney for 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was
yeah,
like, well, we don't need to get there that early. We can get there at a normal time. Of course, not knowing at that time that to you a normal time was 8 a.m. and we could not leave until the fireworks. So
mhm,
that really learned me real fast, really taught me who I was marrying. And yeah, so and then when we moved in together, the decorations, like I'm
mm,
currently sitting next to a 3 foot tall Mickey Mouse pumpkin head. And
mm,
getting ready to set up our Disney Halloween village.
and not to
And
mention our cats, Toulouse and
yes,
Berlioz,
yes,
who are running around
which is
at our
another
feet.
movie I've never seen, Aristocats. But yeah, no, you snuck it in on me. I'll say that.
Mm, mm. I was not trying to be deceptive in any
No,
way,
no,
yeah.
no.
But yeah, it's interesting because like I said, when I was a kid, I only went to the parks a couple times with my parents. And then after I graduated high school, me and my really good friend at the time, we decided to drive down to Disney. Like
Mhm,
it was, and we stayed out in like Kissimmee and
mhm,
this like motel that was, like, leaking and very like, we did the most cheap vacation ever.
mhm.
We actually brought in PB&J sandwiches into the
Oh
park and
gosh.
that whole thing. Like, it was Disney on a budget, 100%. We like, the cheapest possible way.
Mm,
And then I had met some other friends at that time, and then we just started to go to Disney every year. And yeah, up until December of 2019, I had gone almost every year for 6 years in a row
that's
or something
crazy.
like that. And just really, kind of fell in love with the parks. And at that point, like, things had changed a lot from when
Mhm.
I went as a kid into how it was in the 2012 to
Right.
2019 era. And yeah, I was just kind of blown away by the amount of detail. And we also started going to like the Universal parks and seeing what they had to offer. So yeah, it kind of it sparked my love. And everybody kind of, this was kind of right around the time of the Disney adult
Mhm.
terminology starting.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I think that I was kind of fighting against that terminology because to me, it's kind of like a derogatory term and something that's kind of like,
I use it as an insult.
I get it. But I think that my love is kind of more than that. Like,
Mhm.
I enjoy a lot of other things. We've traveled all over the world together. It doesn't always have to be Disney, but there is something that keeps on bringing me back after all this time. And now you.
Yes. And now me by force. But I mean,
So what were your thoughts like the first time that we went into the parks
mhm,
together? And so you experiencing Disney World as an adult. Like what
yeah.
was your thought?
Well, okay. So for me, theme parks as an adult, I don't go to them primarily because, as you know, I'm too tall for a lot of theme parks. So we went to Hershey Park together,
Mhm.
and I'm too tall for that park
Mhm.
completely 100%. There's maybe two rides I can go on. And so I don't, and I've been to a few before I met you, and like Six Flags and things like that. And I was always too tall for those rides as well. So I never really went to theme parks. So when I went to Disney, I wasn't expecting to do anything there. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna look at the stuff, and you're gonna go on all the rides, and then we'll leave. But no, I fit on everything, so that was
Mhm.
fun. So I would say I went to when we first got there, I was not optimistic, but then I actually got to do a lot of this stuff, so that was fun. So I enjoyed it. But I I think for me the biggest thing was like the quote unquote Disney adults, right? Like I wanted
Mhm.
to see them. I wanted to see what really makes them keep going back, I guess,
Mhm.
and try to understand that mentality because to me it's completely foreign. I don't. I would say I'm a little more understanding now than I was back then of like what goes into the love of Disney. But even still now, I'm still learning.
Well, and I think too, like even as somebody who loves Disney, in in the years of like 2013, 2014, and we were starting to see kind of the evolution of the Disney adult and then like
Hmm.
the Disney vloggers and bloggers
Right.
and that entire thing. I remember being kind of like really surprised because
Mm,
again, I always felt like it was this like secret that you should like Disney, but only at a distance, or
right.
that, it's not okay for adults to enjoy going to the Disney parks and having adventures and that
Hmm.
type of thing, with or without kids and that whole thing. And so yeah, I kind of was interested to see how it changed the parks, and I think in a lot of ways it did.
Hmm.
Like, I believe that Disney has kind of sculpted what additions and new attractions that they've made in the parks to the fact that
And
it's
prices.
and prices to
Yes.
the Disney adult
Mhm.
versus to the original demographic, which was, whatever,
Right.
4 to 12-year-olds or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think that the Disney adult craze or phenomenon really did do something to Disney, both positively and negatively, specifically the prices, like I said, and the removal of some things that used to be free and things like that. But I would say I don't think I'll ever be a Disney adult. It would take some type of, maybe if the Disney Corporation bought me, I don't know, something cool, then I might become a Disney adult. But even then, to be that said though, I do enjoy some Disney properties. Of course, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and now that Disney owns it, I guess I have to say I'm a Disney fan because of that. But I haven't, outside of that, I don't know how much other Disney stuff I've seen. So that would be hard for me to pinpoint. I would have to go down a list and say Hercules, that's Disney.
Mhm.
I've seen the Hercules animated movies.
Herk what?
Uh, Lion King. Is that
Yeah,
Disney? Yeah, yeah. So I
100%.
would say mostly the newer classics, not the originals, but the newer classics like
Mhm.
Hercules and Lion King. The movies in that vein I've seen. So yeah, like I said, I didn't grow up with Disney, and I didn't grow up with anybody who liked Disney.
Mm.
My family and I used to have a house down in Florida. So
Mm.
we would go down to Florida every year, but we never went to Disney. And
Mm.
so we would go to Florida and do other Florida activities. So
Wrestling gators?
basically. But so yeah, outside of that, outside of going to Disney with you, I would say going to Disney with you is the first time that I can remember going to Disney.
Well, and coming to Disney with me is an Olympic
It
event.
is not for the faint of heart.
It is not.
No.
Yeah, you have to go through rigorous,
Yes.
physical training in order to spend a day at
Hmm.
Disney with me.
I've gained a love for the Hall of Presidents
Oh,
and the
Carousel of Progress.
mm-hmm,
It's a
mm-hmm.
great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
I like a good sit.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think that that is, such a good point is that when you don't grow up in the world of the Disney infatuation, I can
Mhm.
imagine how odd it is to kind of come into this world secondhand and again, being with such a Disney freak that I'm sure that that was probably a little bit eye-opening for you. But I think that the moment that I knew that, okay, it's gonna be okay,
Mhm.
is when you said, "Well, the next time we
I
come."
should have never said that,
And
huh?
at that moment, like, my face lit up
Hmm.
as bright as a Christmas tree, and I just thought, "Okay, alright, I have him. Okay,
Famous
I've
last
got
words.
this." So, and then in that time, so now, fast forward, this is 4 years later, and I've been to 3 of the Disney parks, so all of the parks at Disney World in, Florida,
Mhm.
and then, California Adventure, Disneyland Anaheim, and then together we've also been to Disneyland Paris,
Mhm.
and we just did that recently on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what are your thoughts, like, in general? Like, you've traveled to 2. I can't believe that the 2nd park that you've ever been to is Disneyland Paris. How
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they they're very similar. So I guess that's a good thing because one person in one side of the world is having a similar experience as somebody else. I do see like little regional differences and things like that, like the different, how to say it, like Epcot, for example. I
Mm,
don't think that'll work anywhere else in the world. I was thinking about that the other day, how in the different areas they have natives of those places. So like
mhm.
in France, they have French people or wherever other place, things like that. But I don't know if that would work anywhere else in the world just because, in America there's so many different people who come here. But I've so far I've not had a negative experience with any of the parks, so that's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's things that you didn't love. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and I think that that's the other thing that we wanted to kind of touch in, after reading the 100 Disney Adventures of a Lifetime book. When I was going through it, there was a lot of things like, yes, we did that, we loved it. And then there was a few things that I was shocked that they didn't mention
Mhm.
or suggest. And as a lover of the parks, I was like, oh no, like you focused your attention on
Right.
blank adventure. But what about this? Or,
And there's some things that I'm surprised that they did include that I'm like,
yeah,
"Is that really an adventure of a lifetime? That's just like a
right.
normal thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, our plan for this podcast is that we're going to kind of review each of the items in the book. We're going to
Yeah.
tell you our experiences with them, the
Mhm.
things that we loved, the things that we didn't love, and then we might include a couple of extra adventures here and there that
Yeah.
weren't listed in the book that we felt should be
Mhm.
included.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
And
hope you guys enjoy this journey with us.
yeah.
And please let us know your thoughts and comments below. Let us know what you think, what things you have done. Let us know if you've read the book before, what your thoughts on the book were. And yeah, looking forward to doing this adventure with you. Anything else you want to add, babe?
No. Well, I'm gonna have 100 adventures of Disney, and I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
So many more
Boy, oh boy.
rope drop to firework
No, thank
days
you.
in your
I
future.
can't handle too many more.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys listening today, and we're looking forward to making some more episodes in the future. So please like and subscribe and share, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye.